We now proceed to our technical session on rolling stock signaling and allied systems, opportunities for the domestic and global players. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists with a big round of applause. I request Mr. Rajesh Agrawal, sir, former member RS Railway Board, to please join us on the panel. Can we please have a big round of applause, everyone? I request Mr. Rahul Gosain, sir, CAO, IT, Railway Coach Factory, Kapurthala, to please join us on the panel. Can we please have a big round of applause? I also request Mr. Devendra Datta, sir, General Consultant, Gujarat Metro, RV Associates, to please join us on the panel. I request Mr. Ranit Rana, sir, AVP Sales and Distribution, Jindal Stainless, to please join us on this stage. Can we please have a big round of applause, everyone? I also request Mr. Ashish Arora, sir, subject matter expert, to please join us on this stage for the session. Ashish, sir, will also be the moderator.
First of all, good morning everyone, and I hope everyone is active now, or if not, be active. So we have a great discussion today about rolling stock, new technology and new capabilities and new growth in India. So topics are moreover related to Make in India projects and development of overseas technology and technology transfer in India. So we will start with the senior people are there, a lot of experience is there with even from the railway experts and I would say the people from the industry. And so let's start with the question first, that how does the Make in India initiative create opportunities for domestic leaders, domestic players into the manufacturing of rolling stock and rail business? So this question is to Rahul ji and Devendra ji. I think you can take one by one and answer this.
Very good morning to all of you. So, Make in India is an ambitious scheme which has been started, which entails rolling out policy support measures as well as incentives, reduce compliance burdens for domestic players, which is intended to boost basically manufacturing for export, manufacturing within India, simplification of the procedures, liberalization of the compliances for setting up of additional manufacturing units, making it easier for domestic players in terms of both setting up of new units as well as acquiring the required permits and compliances for those. Apart from that, it also visualizes rolling out financial incentives such as PLI to prompt them to boost their outputs, their investments in the domestic sector. Now, other than this, of course, other measures to spur investment are like tax holidays, manifestation of schemes for physical infrastructure such as special economic zones and special status attached to certain type or certain segment of industries. For instance, in case of the railway industry, in the railway sector, 100% FDI has been permitted. So essentially, broadly, the MII covers in its gamut all of those. Now, what are the benefits in terms of specifically encouraging our local domestic players to set up units in the area of railway manufacturing? So, it will boost and increase domestic demand. It will spur a kind of a critical mass, a consolidation around a certain segment or a certain industry in terms of developing capabilities in that sector. B, It will enable a lot of knowledge sharing, skill development, building of innovation, localization and indigenization of cutting edge technologies. It will in turn spur large scale projects and associated infrastructure. And what is expected is that it will do so by either FDI or by JVs, given that 100% FDI has been permitted in the railway sector. And this in turn will enable greater standardization of equipment manufactured in India, the equipment which is manufactured in India conforming itself to contemporary global standards. And this will help our domestic players firm up their position even in the international markets. This will help catapult them into global supply chains. So all of these measures will have downstream trickle-down effects in terms of higher job creation, increase the export opportunities. It is also likely to provide a fillip to PPP projects. And one of the best examples, I think, a living example is Delhi Metro, which is, of course, it started with import content, but later on it focused largely on developing indigenous capabilities. Similarly, the speaker just before us, Mr. TVS Ramakrishnan ji, he spoke about the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail project and the benefits which we can hope to accrue by this kind of indigenization of the technology. We stand to gain almost 30-40% from the very high costs. So I think even the metro systems, the RRTS, the intercity railway systems, the monorail, Metro Light, Metro Neo, Water Metro, all of these are examples of innovations which have been spurred essentially by providing emphasis through Make in India to encourage the railway industry.
Thank you so much. This is the insight from government sector. Let's take from Devendra ji how the consultancy and other works are going on. What is his insight on Make in India and projects?
Good morning, everyone. To start with, to take reference of Mr. Rahul Goswami, he told that Make in India is basically very ambitious thought. I believe it is not just ambition, question of ambition. I feel it is a question of surviving, a question of growing decently in this new world and surviving in this new world. I take it that way. It is a imperative need of the moment where we have to grow. So in that context, I like to also add one thing more, like Professor Ramakrishna was telling about context of this, why we are developing rolling stock HSR in India, because cost, only a factor of cost, importing is very costly, whereas manufacturing itself in India will basically give economic benefit. Rather, I see in bigger way, from the point of view of creating the ecosystem, that it's like investing in our education system. Some people can tell that education system, initial education, it is too costly, why to invest so much? But just we see, it is like seeding the plant and growing the tree. So in that context, I like to see, and luckily I was part of very basic kind of Make in India, particularly in rolling stock, although we talk about DMRC and other thing, but I treat one thing, rather make in this our sir is here in Dr. Sir Agrawal sir tenure, a very fantastic thing happened, that is Train 18 or our Vande Bharat. So I rather take it more as a Make in India. That was a fantastic initiative of Make in India. Similarly, I was part of basically as a executive director rolling stock, this Titagarh. Although BML was already Indian company, government company, they collaborated with Rotem, and that way they came in the part of this metro train, modern train manufacturing. But Titagarh, which was very ordinary kind of desi team, and it is a wagon manufacturing and then some EMU. But they came, it was very apprehending time that whether they will be successful or not. But I take a lot of pride that it was aluminum car body first time with this Indian company we successfully, and all this, I think this gathering must be knowing that Pune Metro is now fully functional. So that is, and adding to it, I like to say, it is not, many things are visible, just apparently just see one factor which is visible. But there are so many, 90% benefits come out in very invisible manner. When vendors, local manufacturing, I'm absolutely not talking about cost. Sometimes cost is very debatable thing. Sometimes maybe something we import from outside may basically effectively by arithmetical figures it can come even, but even then I justify that we should go for Make in India. That is my way of telling.
Wonderful insight from Shri Devendra ji. And let's come to Shri Rajesh Agrawal ji. He has a brilliant experience, and he was in Trans recently. So let's have a discussion about, sir, how Indian manufacturers position themselves into the international market, and what export potential they are looking at. Like they have recently at Trans, we have seen a lot of Indian players were there. I see as a very growing market for Indians, like spending millions or spending pounds or euros there is very big challenge for an Indian player, a small player or a medium scale industry player. I think how you see the scenario, like how they are looking at the market, what are their ambitions and visions? Just put some light on it.
Thank you, Ashish, and good morning, everybody. I think the simple answer is yes, India can be an export hub. Are we prepared? I think the Indian manufacturers, though they're showing a lot of interest and there's a lot of potential, only yesterday I showed that for rolling stock alone, it's an industry worth more than 6 lakh crores of opportunity worldwide, only rolling stock.
Wow.
Overall, the railway may be 20 lakh crores, but rolling stock alone is 6 lakh crores. So of 6 lakh crores, even if you get 6,000 crores, it's just 1%. China, if it can get maybe 50% of that, why can't India get 1%? So obviously the potential is huge, and the important is how do we go about it? So what are the steps? The first step, I think, is that you have to invest in it. For example, like if you want to get educated, you have to make investment in education. So if you're ready to make an investment, then you're sure to get the return. So that's the first mindset that we need to create, that we need to invest. And I think even the government needs to invest, so, but that's a separate story. But looking at you, yourself, you need to invest. Once you decide that you need to invest, then you need to find out whether you have the standards. See, if you're exporting to Europe, you have the ERA, the European Rail Association, so you have to meet their standards. If you want to export to the US, you need the FRA, the Federation of Railroad Association. You need to maintain FRA standards. Then there are some UIC standards, there are EN standards. The Japanese have the JIS standards. So we have to have a thorough reading and maybe some teaching and this thing. You have to deep dive into it. It's not something that you can just learn off the cuff. So you have to invest in learning what are these certifications, how do I get them, how do I go about them, what kind of qualification I need so that I'm ready. Once you're decided on that, then you got to see what is your skills. What are you manufacturing? What are you fabricating? Let's say you're fabricating something in steel. And there are some fabrication standards, maybe EN 1090 or whatever. Maybe you're doing some welding. What are the welding standards? Maybe you have to know what is EN 15085. So you have to understand what is required for the material, what is required for the quality, what is required for the testing. For everything, there are certain things. Today, the metro rail is being made with more than 200 EN standards. Whereas in Indian Railways, we may not be even following 20 EN standards. So I initiated EN standards when I entered the railway board in 2018. And now, though it has come there to stay, There have been efforts, to sideline it or not comply with it. Doesn't make sense not to comply. But it is there to stay. But we need far more of it. So coming back to that, I think you need to be ready. That you are able to have your infrastructure be capable enough to get the right material, to get the right testing, to get the right methods, to get the right procedures, and do the right automation. Because unless you have the right automation, the right production center, you cannot even just have some fabrication with a set of machines. So you have to have the right automation, which even my production units are in the need of, they also require. So then you come to that stage where you have that. And after that, you have to seek opportunities. So like today, if China is exporting, let's say 3-4 lakh crores, and we want to do 3,000-4,000 crores, where are the opportunities and how do I fit in? So maybe you participate in international exhibitions like the InnoTrans, where of course the government can also subsidize your entire travel and your entire this thing. Or maybe, some ecosystem can sponsor that. So you need to participate over there to see what are your opportunities. And you cannot be roaming around there, just like fishing for opportunities. You have to be guided properly. For example, I could see over there the countries, they were represented by the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Railways, Ministry of External Affairs. They had, all the right people to tell them that, okay, go over here, talk like this, do this, and, take your conversation forward like that. Otherwise, you will keep going there and saying that, no, I can do, but maybe you can't do. So you need that thing, participate in the expositions, and then be able to, seek your opportunity, where you fit in. And finally, then you got to make yourself competitive with the right quality. Competition in the international market is fierce, but I can tell you for sure that from what I see and from my experience, I hope we could have started this in a very big way 5 years ago, but it's not too late. I know that the Indian industry can rise to the occasion. I've seen it myself because I could grow at 10,000 crores year on year for 2 years. So I think you can do it. And in case in this entire process, like if you're planning for Olympics, you need a coach, you need an academy, you need some budgets, you need this thing. If you need any of that, then definitely we can help you. And I'm sure the forum can help you. I also propose the professional of rail industry professionals, which is not there in the railways. Those kind of inputs also can be given so that we can develop an ecosystem to create a supply chain and create the economies of scale, which today China has. India does not have, and India can get it within 1 year. Let's get ready.
I think it is a really great insight from Dr. Rajesh Agrawal ji, and I would say we should clap for him and we should clap for ourselves also. Even I have seen so many vendors here, the Indian entrepreneurs and industry owners. So I would say we should clap for them that they are trying their best to reach to international market. This is one of the biggest milestone, I would say. So we'll come to industry expert from Jindal Steel and Shri Ranit Rana ji, and we'll ask you to put some light on advancements. As the topic is on rolling stock, so we will ask him, as they are supplying a lot of things to rolling stock manufacturing industries like RCF, ICF and MCF. So I would ask you to put some, what kind of advancements you see and you suggest to the government sector and the other sectors, the rail sector basically. Like they are focusing on speed, safety and the efficiency. So what kind of advancements you are suggesting them? Just put some light.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Rajesh and Mr. Ashish. And good morning to all the dignitaries who are both present on and off the dais. So coming back to his question, I look at it from the very basic perspective, like when we are looking at safety, speed and safety, speed and efficiency. So when we talk about safety, there are three primary aspects which we look into. One is how do we have a fire resistant coach. how do we have a crash resistant car body, and finally whether that car is able to have the necessary fatigue strength, because these are the most critical parameters when we talk about safety. Now, as Mr. Rajesh Agrawal had mentioned, and a few others, they have attended InnoTrans. I was also there. So if you look at the technological advancements which are happening over there, almost all the rolling stock manufacturers, they have migrated to a very premium grade of stainless steel, which is known as high strength austenitic stainless steel. While today in India, if you look at today 95% of the rolling stock are made out of stainless steel, but they are with ferritic grade of stainless steel, which is the base grade of stainless steel. Now, why people have moved towards austenitic stainless steel? One, because if we look at the fire resistance of these grades of stainless steel, they're able to withstand temperatures in excess of 1000 degrees centigrade. Whereas if you compare that with carbon steel or aluminium, carbon steel can withstand temperatures around 400, 500 degrees centigrade, and aluminium starts degrading at about say 120, 150. Second, if we look at the impact resistance and crash resistance, which are very, very important in India's perspective, this austenitic stainless steel has almost 2.5 times higher crash resistance as compared to carbon steel. If we look at fatigue strength, which is the most critical parameter when we are looking at rolling stock, now fatigue strength, it decreases with the onset of corrosion. I'll give you an example. If you look at carbon steel, the normal fatigue strength in base condition is about 245 megapascal. If we look at stainless steel, the fatigue strength is at 310 megapascal. Now, with the onset of corrosion, the fatigue strength of carbon steel comes down to as low as 145 megapascal, almost a 40% decrease. So therefore, it is imperative that we go ahead with these high strength austenitic stainless steel as rolling stock manufacturers have done globally. Secondly, coming to speed and efficiency. So, lightweighting is one of the critical parameters which governs, which influences both these aspects. Now, how do we do lightweighting? Again, usage of tempered austenitic stainless steel is the answer. And today in India, I am very glad to inform, and I think one of my panel members is also from Titagarh. So the Vande Bharat sleeper coach, which they have designed and which will come into play from maybe October, November last year, the first prototype, they have got a weight reduction of close to 4.3 metric ton per coach using high strength austenitic stainless steel. Even if, Titagarh, as I understand, they have also designed not only the car body, but the underframe also in stainless steel. If we look at BEML, BEML has, they have received orders for development of 10 rakes of Vande Bharat sleeper coaches for ICF, out of which one rake has already been developed and I think it has been flagged off. So there also they have made use of high strength austenitic stainless steel, and they have got a weight reduction of close to 2 metric ton per car. So therefore, when we look at these technological advances, these are some of the basic changes that the Indian Railways need to make so that we transition to a more efficient, safe and a speedier railways.
Oh, thank you so much for the insight from the industry, and we'll come to Rahul ji and ask one question about the global collaborations. How does they play a good role in advancing India capacity, like you are developing in-house the Amrit Bharat trains, the developed new LHB, I would say. So how this international collaborations help you in advancing the new technology in your trains?
Thank you, Ashish, for that very interesting question. Essentially, I'd break down my answer into two components, which is A, the by-the-book theoretical component in terms of, the regular stuff about, forming more and more JVs and indigenizing cutting-edge technology, having our components manufactured to international standards, maybe certified by globally accepted standard certification bodies, spurring of R&D and innovation. But how do we do this? How do we achieve this is again going to be a part of the answer, which is going to be the crux. So essentially, how do these collaborations help us? They help us in terms of what I've experienced firsthand. They help us by way of setting up of centers of excellence. They help us knowledge sharing opportunities. They help us by, co-development of new technologies, and that is just the start. Then we move up the value chain. Obviously, when we start something, we invest ourselves into that, then hopefully we do better and better gradually, and then we move up the value chain. So then that becomes, brings me to the important point which was touched upon earlier by Shri Rajesh Agrawal ji, which is about standardization. So I'll just share an example of my experience with standardization when I was in METI as the director. So, there are these standardization bodies such as IEEE, IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force, and IEEE. So I used to attend these meetings very regularly, and what I used to find is that when we participated in the working group meetings for the standardization, the standards used to be driven mostly by the large Qualcomms and the Juniper networks and the biggies in the networking area. So essentially, if we port that to the railway sector, then hopefully what I wish to see or hope to see in the future is some of these big domestically developed and suitably handheld players to reach a stage in the value capture where they acquire the same amount of leverage, the same amount of heft as maybe a Qualcomm or one of these majors in the international standard setting bodies. Now, for them right now it may be good to say that what is in it there for us, but it does make a lot of sense for you to be invested and involved in the standard making process from the very inception. Because, for instance, even how the 5G standards have been made, or how the distribution of the internet numbers has been done, is largely so far determined by a Westphalian kind of a strategy wherein the so-called developed countries have had a major role in framing the standards, which they have framed to their own advantage. But once our organizations achieve that critical mass, then we also hope to reach that stage wherein we can also drive those standards powerfully. So I think that is a key takeaway from this. Apart from that, we can have the usual stuff about development of more sustainable and green technologies, development of indigenous manufacturing capabilities, maybe increased export potential and our ingress and entry and reach into new markets as well as global supply chains. And then of course, we also hope to benefit from large influx of FDI and projects which are in general having a greater critical mass out of the fact that they cater not only to our domestic requirement but also the requirement worldwide. But notwithstanding any demand fluctuations which might impact other regions or other countries, they'll be safe in the knowledge that there is going to still be a critical mass of a growing and vibrant railway industry within the country to kind of keep their wheels moving. So I think that kind of answers my take on the benefits of collaboration that we as a vibrant industry stand to gain. Thank you.
Wonderful insight, and I would come back to Rajesh Agrawal ji about the normally what happens, like players are looking forward to international business. They are looking forward to expand their business globally, to export. But one thing is missing in their vision mostly. Vision is good. Vision is one part. But strategy building is a missing part. Normally people think that we'll go there and present the technology, like you said before, that they should have complete chain. So just put something more informative on this, like how strategies should be designed. Because you have been expertise in designing strategies for MCF and when you were at member position. So I would just ask you to put some light on it.
Ashish, thank you. It's a big question. You see, as far as strategy is concerned, I'm sure you are ready to put your best foot forward, you are ready to make an investment, you have the passion, you have the interest, you have the potential. But there is a huge amount to it, you know. It's a fierce, cold-blooded international competition. So there is a whole lot of things about standards. It's going to be difficult for you to, you know, go through that ecosystem. So you need some expertise to help you identify which standard, which compliance. You know, there are, if you go through the EN standards, you will have to study more than 500 standards, you know, before you get to a complete rolling stock system. So it's difficult. So the standards is one huge area. There are about 15 or 20 government subsidies available for export-import related items. You know, where import is exempted, where export is exempted, what duties are available. It's a specialized area. So there's a huge amount of area there to understand. So perhaps you need somebody to help you understand that entire thing. Then for your own development, your own factory, you got to have some expert to help you decide how you can restructure, how you can replan, how you can do economies of scale, how you can do better inventory, how you can do better automation, how you can do better robotics, how you can set up your production lines. So that's another whole new area, you know, you will find that you will be able to develop. Then finally, when you go to the world, they require EN 50126, that is RAMS, reliability, availability, maintainability, and safety. So RAMS may failure is not an option. You know, everything has to be reliable, it has to be available. Now, we don't follow RAMS at all in India. So you require to go ahead. Now, you don't know that so much. So before you get into that, maybe you require some expertise in understanding what are the compliances required, how do you meet that. Then after that, the whole thing of after-sales service. You're sitting in India thousands of miles away, and you got to maintain that in the long term, short term, or whatever. How do you manage your long-term support? So that is an entire area to be understood. It's, you're not going to be difficult. So again, you require somebody to be able to guide you through all that. So what I'm saying is that there are multiple areas. We hope that the government can also, you know, do its little bit to facilitate that, just like it's training athletes for the Olympics. Maybe it can train you for doing exports. That apart, as far as you're concerned, you require all these areas to be able to help you. And, you know, I've gone through all that in great detail. It requires a huge amount of deep dive. It's very interesting also. It's very rewarding also. So what I suggest is that when you're getting the strategy, it's not just one strategy, it's a strategy with various components. And all the components have to be looked after. And finally, you're definitely going to have a product. Because if the market is worth 6 lakh crores, and China is doing 3 to 4 lakh crores, and the world doesn't want to do it with China. Africa doesn't want to work with China. Europe doesn't want to work with China. America doesn't want to work with China. They want to work with India. We should be ready to be able to work with them. So then, you know, the opportunity is right, the timing is right, everything is right. We can go for it. So I think that perhaps...
So I think the key takeaway is that to build the team which should make a strategy, and that should drive the strategy with the vision and introducing the capitalization in the global market.
Absolutely.
I think this is the best way, because what happened, I was sitting with one of my good friend. He is manufacturing the bogie for LHB coaches. So he was saying that he is having good amount of orders from overseas, from USA, from Europe. But he is saying, I don't have the strategy, I don't have vision, I am sometimes dumb to think what should be done. So I think it is a good takeaway, and from I would say 35 years of experience from Rajesh ji, that a good team should be there, or a strategic person should be there to define.
And I would quite simply say that now what you're saying is he has an opening. So the opening is there, the beginning is there.
Right.
But then there's a lot of sustainability that is required. Now, is he able to understand the sustainability? Now, for example, India doesn't have a carbon credit system right now. We hope to have it in the next 1 or 2 years. It's long in coming, we still don't have it. But the European Union is very, very firm about it. So there you need to know exactly how many carbon credits you need to buy, how many you need to sell, and how you're going to, be able to manage your product. So we may be selling a product and paying a huge amount of money in carbon credit trading. So there the system has already firmed up very solid, in the European Union at least, maybe not in North America. The European Union is very solid. India is slow in coming. So that is another ecosystem which you will find it, you should be able to understand.
Wonderful.
So you have the opening, but even after you have the opening, there is still a long way to go, which we can navigate, provided, we have the right ecosystem, the strategy. And quite simply, I should say that if you want education, you need a teacher, and you maybe need a coach, and then you maybe need somebody to do tuitions. Oh, we should be ready to invest in all that.
Wonderful insight, and I will come back to Shri Ranit Ranaji about what kind of energy efficient and eco-friendly, like everybody is talking about sustainable development and sustainable future and environment. What kind of initiatives as a industry, Jindal Steels, and your initiatives towards the energy efficient and other rolling stock capabilities?
Yeah, talking about energy efficiency, I have already discussed about lightweighting. Just to add to that, let me also say that this time, when I visited Innotrans, there is a company called J-Trek, a Japanese transport engineering company, and they were displaying the latest Sustina model. Now, what was very unique about that model was not only was it made out of high strength SS, but when I inquired about what are the thicknesses of the sidewalls, they mentioned that it is 1.5 millimeter. Now, whoever is in the railways industry, they would know that today we have reached about 2 millimeter. We are primarily using 2 millimeter thick sidewalls. In fact, ICF has gone ahead and they are using 2.5. Now, thicker the material, it adds to the weight of the vehicle. It reduces the energy efficiency. So therefore, this is the first, I think, rolling stock company which has mentioned that they have gone ahead with 1.5 millimeter thickness. Now, the question that many in the in the Indian Railways might ask is whether welding of such a thin material would enable us to address the problem of flatness. And so I asked them, what is the flatness that you are able to achieve? And they said it's roughly about 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters, which is excellent. Today in India, I think we have about 5 to 6 millimeter thickness, 5 to 6 millimeter of flatness. So the usage of again I would say usage of high strength stainless steel. And when I say high strength, let me just give you a comparison. Today, when we are using ferritic stainless steel, the yield strength is about 350 megapascal or 320 megapascal. The high strength stainless steel, austenitic stainless steel that I'm talking about, the strength ranges from 515 megapascal to almost 700 megapascal. And therefore, utilization of these grades of stainless steel would enable us to reduce thicknesses of the components to make them more lightweight and hence more energy efficient. Coming back to sustainability, again, I would say that we must use materials which are completely green, which are 100% recyclable. And here again, and of course, it should have the least carbon footprint because as you all know, Indian Railways have taken a target of becoming a net zero carbon emitter by 2030. And here again, I would say that, if you are using stainless steel, it's completely made out of scrap. We are using electric arc furnace. Therefore, it's a completely green steel. And from the carbon footprint point of view also, it has the least carbon footprint. So I think these are the initiatives that railways could undertake to achieve more energy efficiency and a more sustainable solution in terms of rolling stock.
Thank you so much for the topic about carbon credits. I think even Delhi Metro has also earned a lot of carbon credits. I hope you are also looking forward in that direction. I'll come to Devendra ji about the innovative approach, what the how the things are being, as you are consulting a lot of railway sector, so how the life cycle of the rolling stock, like Indian Railways is also now focusing that to give it to private player or a semi like PSU, like BHEL or other organization, the complete maintenance of 35 years. How people are doing in global market, like you might have a good insight of that. Just put some light on this.
Yes, particularly in metro system, we have been associated, so we are going with mostly with the procurement also. The key systems, basically long-term annual maintenance contracts. So that way, OEMs are basically the best to understand the intricacy and the how to elongate the life of the system, delicacy of the system. So that way, they are the best to get associated with the basically elongating and providing the best life cycle of our rolling stock. Here I would like to add, there are so many innovative things happening worldwide, although I have not personally gone through, but to the extent in literature I have come across, like in Japan, the OEMs are mostly engaged with basically operating companies as a partner in maintenance. That way, they are stakeholder, direct stakeholder to basically associate that, so that inventory part as well as how to provide the best and healthiest maintenance to the system, that they are ensuring. So similar way, we have to gradually, basically it is not just kind of we are giving annual maintenance contract, it is a more like engaging them as a basically partners, where basically OEMs are stakeholders now and associating them in our maintenance, formalizing it in like kind of a joint venture or company, operating company, and that way. So win-win situation creating, and that way harnessing the best out of the basically their competency as well as their interest also in basically keeping their product, providing best life cycle. So that can be one innovative way. Apart from this, now a lot of digital maintenance practices are coming, like our equipments are smart now. They are basically directly real-time data we can harness their health conditions. So that is leading to the predictive maintenance rather than very conventional type and very rigid maintenance system following. It is more imperative that we are able to predict, or even, for example, as I was mentioning, if we are able to monitor the basically wheel conditions or our brake conditions or even battery condition, all this, and their health condition can be predicted, and based on that we can take basically future action. So that will also help in our optimizing the inventory as well as basically ensuring that our basically downtime of the equipment is least.
Correct.
So such type of a lot of innovative strategy coming out, and I again repeat that OEMs, original manufacturer, their association helps a lot in engaging in them.
So
helps in
one
this.
of the area which you are talking, predictive maintenance, that is my expertise into vibration analysis of the rolling stock. So I think this is the one of the key area where every body or every operating company is adopting this nowadays. Even worldwide, I was with the Deutsche Bahn in Europe, and they have introduced their system to calculate this prediction and all. I think BHEL and other players in India are also looking forward to this, and they will grow this. Thank you for the insight. I'll come back to, as we have less time, I'll come to Rahul ji, as he is involved in government policies and strategies being defined nowadays, which is a very friendly question for the players and vendors here. I think how government policies further can incentivize the global player collaboration with Indian players, like some make in India issue is there with people, but global players, how they can collaborate, because there is far way to reinvent something. If something is available with some player, it's better to use their products.
Let me come in onto that. Let me try and take a stab at that, Ashish. Actually, I've had a fair amount of exposure in other sectors, so I am in a position to comment about policy making in this area. But I begin with the quote, ask not what my country can do for me, ask me what I can do for the country. So I'll try to flip the coin the other way around. So I think fair amount has been said about, what the government has already done, walked the halfway path in terms of, either the Make in India or the incentivization of the local industry, providing cover to the domestic players, providing them with the wherewithal and the necessary support to grow to a certain level. But now I think the missing piece, the resistance, I think, from what I can quote, for instance, there's a World Mobile Congress taking place somewhere in Delhi just right now, and the role of the ITU as well as the role of the local IAMI, which is the industry body conglomeration kind of, which has come together to lobby for the interests of the industry. So I think probably the missing part of the pudding or the puzzle which we are seeing here is that although the railway industry is good to organize itself in all these kinds of events and all, but then they need to strategically think through this, because as also pointed out by Rajesh Agrawal ji, we need to build some critical mass, and then there are large set of stakeholders which we need to tick off, and it's not either or, so we need to tick off all of them. So we need to think through this strategically, organize ourselves strategically in various fora, in various industry bodies, chambers of commerce if required, and then we need to tick off all those boxes one by one, and we need to sort of be more position ourselves in a way that we are heard and seen in all the right fora, in the right frame. For instance, be it a Niti Aayog, or be it where the policies are being framed, or be it the higher echelons of policy making in the railway industry, in the railway ministry, in the Ministry of Commerce, in all other areas, we need to position ourselves favorably so that, we can sort of deliver our heft, as well as also to contribute actively in the standards making process, and work as collaborative partners in the progress of the nation. So I think that is a piece of the puzzle which to my mind is still missing, and we need to work on this fast.
So what do you think, like some kind of body should be there, or it's already existing?
Yes.
I think there is a lack.
I mean, there would be some bodies which would be existing, but then they need to
put more
work
focus
under
on this.
strategic guidance, so that they can orient their efforts in a more effective and efficient manner, so that they are able to reach their voice to where it needs to be heard.
Wonderful insight from everyone. We had a industry overview, we had a government overview on the policies, and we had the experienced overview, the seniors overview. I think this takes us to the end of the session, and if there are any questions, just put up and point out the person whom you want to have the question. Anyone?
It was really excellent panel discussion. Sir, I have two questions. One question will be to Mr. Ranit Rana, because you have spoken upon stainless steel and aluminium. And second question, it will be common question to Shri Rajesh Agrawal and Mr. Rahul Kosin. I am starting with first question. I will come to you in my second question. Sir, my question is,
Rahul sir, my question is, you will start, then Mr. Rajesh Agrawal, he will add on. Government policies often emphasize local sourcing as well as manufacturing. Some of foreign players, they still face to establish with Indian companies or set up their local production in India. What are your views and suggestions to encourage the foreign companies? Because you have also spoken about Make in India. After making so many policies, I think the foreign companies, they are still not encouraged that they should come in India and invest. What are your views?
So my take on this is that we are already beginning to see green shoots in this area, and a lot of interest and critical mass has been built up by all our efforts and policies thus far. For instance, there have been cases of JVs where foreign partners have been involved, and they are slowly working towards materialization.
Any changes are required in the existing Make in India policy? That is my question.
You probably hinting at some tweaks which may be required. Well, no policy is perfect, so everything is a work in progress as I see it, and it's a policy continuum. So even the most developed countries make policies which are far from perfect, and then they slowly learn from the market and then tweak those policies in a way that
What are your suggestions to encourage the foreign companies?
So my key suggestions, I don't feel that I am in a position to make any suggestions to the foreign companies whether or not and how best to enter India, but certainly they'll be governed by their own considerations, whether they find it worthwhile or they find it profitable, which I think they already do, because unless they did that, they would not be going so gung-ho about India and coming in a big way, evincing a lot of interest, and especially for the railway sector, where I have seen a lot of interest. Same is the case with either the digital sector, where I've had some amount of experience, where again a lot of important and critical foreign players are deeply invested in India. But yes, one thing which I do find somewhat missing is, for instance, at the global level, there is what you call the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, which is the body which deals with the whole domain name system and how it works. But they've got an office in India. A body as big as ICANN has an office in Delhi in India. Similarly, the Internet Society is the world conglomeration for internet enthusiasts all over the world. The end users, they represent the public at large, and they've also got chapters in India, in Delhi, in Bombay, in Kolkata. So in that regard, I would say that more and more global corporations, for instance Wabtec, they have their offices in India. Similarly, Alstom have their offices in India. All these big rail corporations, which are the big industry players, have set up offices in India, are turning out products locally. So I think that's a big win for, I would say, Make in India.
Rajesh sir, would you like to add how to minimize the problems which are faced by the foreign companies when they are interacting with the Indian funds?
See, the foreign companies are very keen to come to India. I will say very keen to come to India. I think they are also very bullish about India. Let's face the issues. Politics is a huge issue. They are not so sure about the politics at the federal level and at the state level, and maybe even at the ground level. So that's something which definitely needs consideration. Apart from politics, there is a whole lot of issues about compliance. Like India mein 400 BC bhi chalti hai. It's something which they are not comfortable with. So there are issues over there. The third is that the Indian ecosystem is not like the European or the North American or the Japanese ecosystem. We have our own cultures, our local sensibilities, our local idiosyncrasies and our local whatever. So they need Indian partners to be able to understand a non-Western context. India cannot be a Western context like what you're doing in Germany, you start doing in India. So the non-Western context comes in. So they need an Indian partner who can, stand with them. A partner who has the credibility. Now, so that's hugely, something to be dealt with. So the foreign companies, they're very keen to come in a hurry, but they are hesitant. They are hugely hesitant. And I think we have to, even the ease of doing business has not progressed as well as it should have. Today, in ease of doing business, foreign companies still have to break their heads. So we have presence of every company in the world. India is such a market where everybody will say, yes, yes, we must have an office over there. But whether we do any business or not, that time will tell. So everybody is there. There's nobody missing. But whether it's doing any business or not, that's another story. It can do business. I think we need to address the challenges. While the government will do its part or is not doing its part or will do its part, that's a separate story. You can do your part. Do whatever it takes to help them with this issue, to help them with the uncertainties or unpredictabilities of Indian way of working, and how to handle the ecosystem. In case we can manage that, we can get that in a big way. And as far as the foreign companies are concerned, I think they have to invest hugely in ancillarization. Because apart from the auto industry, which Maruti, set up, and Suzuki set up, and Suzuki did the ancillarization.
Like technology transfer.
So these companies are not doing any ancillarization. I don't see Alstom doing ancillarization. I don't see Wabtec doing any ancillarization. There are so many foreign 500 companies in India, they are not doing any ancillarization. So let's say there is a company in India who's doing maybe 10 crores, 50 crores of business. Now what's the problem in this company ancillarizing them, training them, developing their skills and giving them 50 crores of business? It's nothing for them, peanuts, chicken feed. So they should be able to ancillarize. So when Maruti came here, Suzuki came here, they set up this whole Gurgaon. What was Gurgaon? It was not there where it is today. So they came, they ancillarized. So I find these fellows are not ancillarizing. And there again, we need to have, export-oriented zones. Our SEZs have not, gone the way, our EPZs have not gone the way they have to be. So there is work in progress over there. But I think as a rail industry, we can be a group of professionals, we can have our team, and we can steer this from the top. So if you're willing, I'd be more than keen, and I have actually had the experience to take it forward.
Thank you so much. I will
Mr. Rana, last
I will
one.
request you that we can
No,
take
only one
one
question.
actually
No,
for-
he is no need to worry. He is the best person because Mr. Rana has spoken too much about stainless steel properties. I will ask only on the properties. So far as the stainless steel is concerned, if I add nickel and nitrogen, its mechanical strength will increase and it will become less brittle material. Okay. Now you are saying that use of steel on the ground. I am asking question use of stainless steel in the space. When we are having aircraft, we are using aluminium. But when it goes to height 11 or 13 kilometers, then temperature go to minus 270 degrees centigrade. In that case, the steel property increases by 50%. Can in that case aluminium be replaced in aircraft with stainless steel? This is my question.
Well, in aircraft, as you know, as you have rightly pointed out, they are using the aluminum alloy called duralumin. And primarily, one is, of course, to have a very streamlined structure. And secondly, of course, lightweight. Now, when we, if we compare that with railways, in the Indian context, if you look at the aircraft manufacturing, nothing is, hardly anything is manufactured. in India. So it's all from abroad. Now, when we look at the Indian context, the advantages, I would say, of stainless steel is easy availability, easy fabricability, easy repair and maintenance, and of course, lower cost. Now, in Europe, if you see, people are using aluminium. It's not that aluminium trains are not running, but the underlying reason being that you have the necessary ecosystem, you have the long extrusions available, and therefore they are able to make it at a faster speed. So they are able to turn around the coaches faster. In India, right now we do not have the necessary ecosystem for long extrusions. They are not available in India. So everything has to be imported. Secondly, coming back to repair and maintainability, aluminium is extremely difficult to repair. Friction stir welding is the most widely employed process, but then it's a process which requires significant amount of expertise, and until now we do not have that ecosystem in place. Thirdly, in terms of cost, and that is a very, very big factor when we look at the Indian context. Vande Bharat train sets, I'm sure all of you would have read, initially the tender was out for 200 train sets of stainless steel and 200 in aluminium.
Yes.
200 train sets in stainless steel, the cost is 8 crore, roughly about a bit lesser than 8 crore per car.
Yes.
In aluminium, so it was about 120 crores for one train set of 16 coaches.
Yeah. That
In aluminium,
it was cancelled.
Yeah, in aluminium, it went to 165 crores. And, I think the railways had asked for 141. Even that could not be met. Now, so therefore, it's costly. But what's the advantage that railways is gaining? If you look at the weight reduction, which is the primarily USP of aluminium, today with high-strength stainless steel, they have been able to, reduce the weight by 4 metric ton. With aluminium, and I have had discussions with almost all the design heads of global rolling stock suppliers, it's not possible to bring down the weight more than 2.5 tons per car. So you're not getting that weight reduction benefit, which was initially envisaged. With high-strength stainless steel, we are able to achieve a weight reduction higher than that. We are able to provide trains which are, much, cost-effective as compared to aluminium. And finally, when you have the repairability, when we factor in the repairability, the availability of material, stainless steel wins hands down as far as India is concerned. And therefore, we feel that, yes, in the Indian condition currently, stainless steel is the most, optimum material for rolling stock manufacturing.
Thank you.
Wonderful
Thank you very
insight,
much.
and I will ask everyone to have one-to-one questions, and thank you for the good insights from the industry and from the government side. Thank you so much. A big round of applause for everyone here.
Thank you so much to our panelists for such an insightful discussion. We have really learned a lot from this panel discussion. Now, I would like to request Vinod sir to please present a token of gratitude to our panelists. I would request Mr. Vinod Shah sir to please present a token of gratitude to Mr. Rajesh Agrawal sir. I would request Mr. Rajesh sir to please grace us with his presence on the dais. I would request Mr. Vinod sir to please present a token of gratitude to Mr. Rahul Gosain sir. Can we please have a big round of applause, everyone? I would request Vinod sir to please present a token of gratitude to Mr. Devendra Datta Mishra sir. Can we please have a big round of applause? I feel the energy is missing. Can we please have a big round of applause? I would request Vinod sir to also please provide a token of gratitude to Mr. Ranit Rana sir. Can we please have a big round of applause, everyone? I would request Vinod sir to also please provide a token of gratitude to Mr. Ashish Arora sir. Can we please have a big round of applause? Thank you to our esteemed panelists.